welcome into the original Gangsters Podcast. I'm your host, Scott Burnstein. I want to do a breaking news edition up in Canada. Everybody knows about Pic Termel, the Blood Family Mafia leader, being arrested after almost 2 years on the run as a fugitive. He was arrested last week in Italy. He'll be coming back to Canada most likely by the end of the month. We're going to deep dive that from a more kind of 30,000 foot view in the coming days. Today, I want to talk about a major story that hasn't been out there yet, that is still developing. It appears the Rizzuto mob could be back at war soon, and it's not against the Hells Angels. It appears that for the second time, the affiliation, alignment between the Rizzuto mob and Tupac, Onha, has eroded and has gone next level bad. I'm being told by people on the street, as well as sources in law enforcement, that there are threats being volleyed back and forth between the Rizzuto mob organization and Tupac, Onha's alleged or so-called rap pack mafia, rap pack mob, possibly murder contracts being put on the head of the leaders of the respective organizations. I'm going to let you know what I know, and then as this develops, I'll fill everybody in. We all know that the Rizzutos ended a 2-year feud with the Hells Angels back in December. We broke it exclusively here at OG Pod, at our companion web magazine, The Gangster Report. Peace summit in Montreal between Leonardo Rizzuto, the Don of the Montreal Mafia, the Sicilian mob in Montreal, and Hells Angels boss Marty Robert. They buried the proverbial hatchet. Aligned business interests once again, got back in bed together, and are back moving, clicking on all cylinders. The business arrangement that had been in place for 30 years before is now back in effect, and it's a well-oiled machine again. They created, as we reported first here at OG Pod, something called the Union, which is a regulatory body, enforcement body that represents the Rizzutos and the Hells Angels on the street. We talked about in previous episodes who comprise, who made up the Union, who were the street figures that comprise the Union. Now we kind of know via absent, we never named somebody from the Rat Pack mob as a representative in the Union, which has about, I'm told, 8 to 12 guys representing different groups and factions, all reporting to the Rizzuto and Hells Angels at the top of the pyramid. And we named guys from different support clubs, different factions of the Rizzutos, different street gangs. We never named Tupac or anybody in his Rat Pack mob. So just by absence, it might have told us something. Now we're hearing that Tupac and Leonardo Rizzuto are at odds, and that certain people, both on the street and in law enforcement, are bracing for possible violence. So let's first talk about who is Tupac, the crime lord in Montreal, the reputed, new era Greg Woolley, the Godfather of street gang affairs. created this rap pack mob made up of, rappers turned drug dealers, drug dealers turn aspiring mega crime lords. And Tupac is a very ambitious criminal, according to everyone I talked to. He started as a member of Greg Woolley's entourage. He was working with both the Hells Angels and the Rizzuto mob. Specifically, he was working with Rizzuto mob street boss Baldy Barbario, Marco Pizzi, and what we're told and what we reported exclusively at OG Pod and at Gangster Report was that at some point early on in the war between the Rizzuto mob and the Hells Angels in 2023, Tupac switched sides, changed his allegiance from Team Rizzuto to Team Hells Angels, and helped the Hells Angels in terms of boots on the ground fight that war against the Rizzuto mob. Eventually, Blood Family Mafia and Ice Pick Termel came into the picture as well. But so Tupac is he's shifty, and he's a guy that is always looking for angles to play. So he goes from the Rizzutos to the Hells Angels camp. According to my sources in law enforcement, him and his crew are being looked at as the top suspects in the Greg Woolley assassination in November of 2023. And in the aftermath of that, when he is given Woolley's street operations and cuts a different deal, cuts a better deal with the Hells Angels, from very early on in that arrangement, Tupac and the Hells Angels aren't getting along. And by spring 2024, the Rat Pack mob and Tupac are either vanquished from the Hells Angels camp or leave voluntarily. We're not sure. We're not going to report either way, but whatever it was, Tupac is out, and he's replaced by Greg Woolley's former number two, Jean-Philippe Celestine, a.k.a. The Butcher. And Jean-Philippe joins the Marauders, the motorcycle club that is an enforcement unit, a support club for the Hells Angels in Montreal. He's basically put in charge of street gang affairs for the Hells Angels at the street gang level, the position that Greg Woolley had always held. And then he got caught in the middle of the war. Hells Angels removed Woolley, installed Tupac, kicked Tupac out, replace him with Celestine. Tupac, according to our reporting, and I know this is confusing, you got to keep a scorecard. Tupac goes and makes another deal back with the Rizzutos through his connections with Baldy Barbario, and is welcomed back into the fold, and given a partnership again with the Rizzuto mob, which only lasts less than 6 months and has fallen apart. And now there are threats being exchanged, and the SQRCMP are worried, and that's what I'm here to report. Pete Diadamo, Pietro Diadamo, aka Black Pete, Leo Rizzuto's underboss, the man whose brainchild was the union, the guy that kind of came from nowhere to capo status. He became underboss, has been a Solocito loyalist for a long time, mentored by Old Sauce Solocito. And he's come in and made a big impact this last couple of years in the last year in the administration, help end the war using his diplomacy skills. And he's locked up right now. We've talked about that. A big bust last month. He was pulled over in a traffic stop. It looks like somebody tipped off a narcotics squad that he was traveling with a gun. He's been indicted for gun possession, money laundering, making threats to a surveillance unit, and he's fighting to get bond. I'm told there are some worries being relayed to the Bureau of Prisons or jail, the people that control lockup in Canada, that Diadamo could be in danger of getting hit inside, and that they're taking precautions. I'm told that Leo Rizzuto has been informed that the law enforcement has heard the threats being made to him by Tupac. So this is a very fragile, volatile powder keg of a situation, and I guess we don't know where it's going to go. But it right when you think it can't get any crazier in Canada, it it get the ante's upped, and there's more chaos on the horizon. I got my allergies are killing me. Sorry, it's springtime. My nose gets going and my eyes get watery. But the fact that there's uncertainty again when it comes to stability in the Rizzutos shouldn't be a surprise. It looked like everything had stabilized, and they did, and they are with 81 with Hell's Angels. But another aspect of this also is now if you're Tupac and you're opposing the Rizzutos, guess what? The Rizzutos and the Hell's Angels are now consolidated. So it looks like, Tupac and the Rat Pack mob could be getting a 2-for-1 deal. They want to have beef with the Rizzutos, but they're going to get beef with the Hell's Angels as well. So it's very precarious right now. And again, we shouldn't be shocked that the 15 years of tumult, the decade and a half of disarray in the Canadian underworld, right when you think it's going to slow down, it speeds up again, and it appears that the Rizzuto mob is possibly going back to war, and this time against Tupac Onha. His real name is Atna Onha. He goes by the nickname Tupac. He's 40 years old, and he wants to be Greg Woolley, what Greg Woolley was, and he wants to, supercharge it. He wants to be Greg Woolley with more power, Greg Woolley with a bigger reach, Greg Woolley with more respect, more fear. So we all know Greg Woolley, aka Picasso, was a one of a kind in the way that this was a black guy that was able to get really high up and really well entrenched and connected to the top levels of white organized crime, and was trusted by the Italians, is trusted by the bikers, trusted by all the street gangs, and was a peace broker, was a deal maker, was a politician, and was the undisputed godfather of the street gang world. To be the king, you got to kill the king, and according to what people on the street are saying and what the SQ is investigating, that was Tupac. We're told that there had been informants talking about a ceremony that was held in the weeks after Greg Woolley was killed, that Marty Robert and the brass of the Hells Angels in Montreal held a ceremony anointing Tupac the new Godfather and the new kingpin when it came to street gangs in Quebec. We know that him and the Rat Pack are being investigated for multiple instances of narcotics trafficking, stolen car rings, international smuggling, and a series of violent extortions that have been really rocking a big part of Montreal the last year and a half with fire bombings, shootings, a lot of them happening in nicer neighborhoods. And, we've talked about it and it's been reported in the midst, getting caught in the crossfire here, the collateral damage to tourists, a mother and a daughter from France that were killed in a firebombing last fall that was tied to this extortion campaign where Tupac is allegedly fighting for big pieces of drug trafficking turf and uh, protection money from bars and coffee shops across Montreal, and that he's fighting against JP Celestine and the Marauders. He's fighting against the Arab Power crew. He's fighting against other parcels of the Rizzuto mob. So he's really in the mix right now, and he's a guy that's making a lot of waves. So it will be interesting to see what's the reaction from Leo Rizzuto and Marty Robert, how they play this, because right now they're a team, and as I said, as I talked about before, Tupac might think he's the king now, and he might be the king, in the world of street gangs, but by challenging the quintessential mafia don, the definition of resolve right now, and playing long-term chess as opposed to short-term checkers. Leo Rizzuto, Pete Diadamo, Mini Me, Baldy Barbario, and those guys. And then you got Marty Robert and the Montreal Hells Angels, who hold the power along with Nergin and Hamilton. They hold the power for all of 81 Nation. The entire power of the Hells Angels, 6,000 strong, 60 countries, 600 chapters. It goes through them. So just like Ice Pick Termel, again, we'll get to that later this week or in the coming days with a deep dive. Tupac Onha has got brass balls, and the balls the size of the Canadian Rockies, and they're hanging low to the floor. He's got his eye on the prize, and that prize is more territory, more infamy. Does that mean that he's going to go down in a blaze of glory? I don't know. Does it mean that he's going to do what Marty Robert couldn't do and the Hells Angels couldn't do? He challenged the Rizzutos. Chit Del Basso challenged the Rizzutos. Smiling Joe DeMalo challenged the Rizzutos. How did it work out for those guys? Well, for Marty, it's not like it, Marty's, it's always a net positive with him. I mean, he's at a whole other level in terms of international scope and juice and vision. Marty's at a whole other level, but he tried, and then when he realized it was best to make peace, he made peace. But it's a bold move by Tupac to think that he can challenge Leonardo Rizzuto and Pete Diadamo, but it appears to be the case right now from what I'm hearing. Well, I'll keep everybody updated, but people in Quebec right now are bracing for another violent conflict. I don't want to spark potential violence myself with rhetoric, so I don't want to be alarmist, but I'm hearing this is real serious right now, and that Tupac is running around telling people that he wants the throne, and that throne right now is being sat on by Leo Rizzuto. And we saw, again, think about how things foreshadow and and looking at history to predict what's going to happen in the future, we remember what happened with Leo Rizzuto's little brother, Nicky. He got killed in the first wave of the unrest that erupted after their dad, Vito Rizzuto, got sent to a prison in the U.S. to finish off a sentence for murder, and all of a sudden, the sharks were swarming. They were circling. They smelled blood in the water, and multiple insurgents coalesced and shook the Montreal underworld to the core. Has still not been able to, or the Canadian underworld really has still not been able to recover. But who was taking aim at Nicky Rizzuto? It wasn't another Italian. It was Kenny Ducarme. It was Killer Kenny, Ducarme Joseph. That's who killed Nicky Rizzuto. And Kenny Joseph himself was killed. But, if you're Tupac, that doesn't bode well for you, because that didn't bode well for Kenny Joseph. Kenny Joseph, could only try to stay alive for so long. He was dead man walking from really the time he put the murder of a mob prince into motion. And I just, obviously we always want peace. We're not looking for conflict, but it appears that Tupac might be. So that's what we're hearing. Wanted to give it to everybody first. We're going to do the breakdown of David Turmel and the current state and future of Blood Family Mafia, and what Turmel has in store for him when he possibly hits the Canadian prison system and that $500,000 contract on his head by the Hells Angels. We're going to get into all that, but we felt like the news that we're hearing about possible war, simmering, intentions brewing between the Rizzuto mob and Tupac, Onha, and the Rap Pack mob, his group of rappers turned organized crime figures. I mean, that's really what they are. And just like in the United States, there seems to be a very blurry line between the world of hip hop and rap and the streets and the drug world. A lot of times, rappers and drug lords are interchangeable in the sense that the rapper that you're hearing rap about drug dealing is actually drug dealing. The rapper that you're hearing about from him killing people, he's actually killing people. A lot of times those rap lyrics in the music videos come back to bite them in court. So this is crazy. It's always crazy over in Canada, but Leo Rizzuto's got some more on his plate that he's got to deal with. It's not just that his underboss is trying to get bond. Now he's got to be looking over his shoulder because according to the RCMP and the SQ, Tupac and his boys are taking aim, gunning at the Rizzuto. So we'll see. Please check back here at Original Gangsters Podcast for all the latest breaking news, history, analysis. We hit it from all the different angles. Please like, share, and subscribe. I'm Scott Burnstein, uncovering the underworld, one city, one region, one country at a time. We'll see you next time at Original Gangsters. I'm out.